Tier 9 tank destroyers are way better than their Tier 10 counterparts, at least in my opinion. A good example here is the T30. This vehicle has 4 more degrees of gun depression than the T110E4. It has a fully traversable turret, which the E4 does not, and as well, it has some very good hull-down capabilities without a massive hongler-bongler hatch sticking out on the roof. You make your way over to the Waffenträger. Well, this vehicle has great DPM, fantastic aiming time, a fully traversable turret, which again, the grill does not, and as well, a much better camouflage rating. Make your way over to the SU-122. This one's a bit of a stretch, but it does have more DPM than the Object 263. The Conway actually has turret armor, which you couldn't ever dream of having in, the 4005. 14 millimeters of turret armor there. The Foch has more DPM, the same armor, and same mobility as the Tier 10 Foch 155. Except, oh wait, in the next update, it's going to have 4,000 DPM, making it way, way better in every single regard over the Foch 155. The Jagdtiger, sure, it doesn't have the alpha that the Jagdpanzer 100 does, but it does have 4,000 DPM, 8 degrees of gun depression, and some very strong armor that even Tier 10s have to load heat to reliably penetrate. Now, there are vehicles like the T95 and the Tortoise that aren't fantastic, but for the most part, the Tier 9 tank destroyers, especially the ones that are good, are way better than the Tier 10s in my personal beliefs. And which one are we going to be talking about in today's video? Well, the one in front of you, the tank that is used a lot in the American tree, the T30, which is also the same as the T34, which is also the same as the T29, although the T29 does have a bit of a buffed hull. Now, the T30 has very, very good turret armor, very good hull-down capabilities, and a ridiculous gun. A 155 millimeter armament to be exact, that deals 640 damage per shot, and if you're like me, a crazy madman, you're going to be running calibrated shells with 290 millimeters of standard penetration. That's enough to butter through any Tier 8 opponent you'll come up against, even Object 252s in the upper plate. And if you're coming up against vehicles in Tier 10, you load the premium shells, which is very rare, but if you need to, you have 336 millimeters of APCR pen, which is enough to butter through enemy opponents like no tomorrow. Now, I will say that the penetration on the premium of this vehicle is not as good as other Tier 9 tank destroyers. Vehicles like the WZ-111 GFT with their 400 millimeters of pen, the Hori Type 2 with its 340 with AP ammunition. There are vehicles that have some very nice pen as well, but oh boy, that 155 just already ammo-racking a vehicle for 962 hit points. It is insane just how flexible this tank feels. It's like driving a heavy tank, but you just have a much larger gun. Like, sure, the DPM isn't amazing, but 2 shells and we're already at 1,500 damage. If that RU had any more health, we could have dealt upwards of 1,200 on a max roll. So we're just kind of chilling here. We got the E50 up against me, hits me in the gun, but even if he had hit me in the mantlet, it's not like it would have ever penned me. There you go, penning right through the upper plate of that 252, and we're already at 2,200 damage in this battle. It's just so flexible to have a great alpha, great turret armor, and a gun that slaps through armor like no problem. Also, one thing a lot of people forget and take for granted is that the T30, because it has a fully traversable turret, also has much better dispersion values on the move compared to other Tier 9 and Tier 10 tank destroyers that don't have turrets. Because obviously when you don't have a turret, you need to move your vehicle, which means that your dispersion factors massively bloom. This vehicle, you can just turn the turret, and judging that it's such a slow turning turret at that, you really don't even need to aim in much. So what do we have in the enemy team? Well, we got a T92 left, we got a WZ-120, and just guessing by the way that guy was heading, I'm going to aim right over here and hope that, yep, there he goes. A nice shot into the enemy WZ-120. Yeah, that's gotta hurt you, my dude. That's really, really gotta hurt you for 400 damage. 50 TP, nice ram in there. We're already at over 4,000 damage in this battle. And oh boy, yep, that's the rear of a T92. So AT, yes, 760. I mean, it was a massive low roll, but what am I gonna do about it? Unfortunately, not every battle you get super good luck. I guess that kind of made up for that ammo rack we had on that that Panther 8.8, so I'll take it. Either way, we're aiming on this Action 10. We're gonna slap a shell right into the roof of his tank because we can overmatch it with 155 millimeters of ammunition for the caliber. And there you go. We did 5,500 damage in that battle. and that was just the easiest walk in the park, and that showcases just why the T30 is so nice. 5,500 and a mastery. So let's get into the second battle of the T30. We find ourselves stuck on Himmelsdorf. Now, Himmelsdorf is, again, a very heavy dependence map sometimes, unless the enemy mediums are able to push through quick enough and start getting to the enemy heavies. I'm going to play this tank like a heavy. As I said, it's got the great turn armor, and it's got the alpha. So, sure, you might not have as many hit points as, let's say, even a T32 that's sitting at 2,072. That's 400 more than me. But one shell for my tank brings the T32 down to less than me. And yeah, that's really where the big advantage of this tank comes into play, is you can trade with heavy tanks, you can out-trade them, and you can still occasionally get a pretty nice bounce. So what does the enemy team have? Well, they got an ML2, they got an M103, and they also got, well, you're going to see an SU-130 PM get absolutely butchered in just a moment here. So speed is key. T30 is not the fastest of vehicles. You know, the Waffenträger Panzer IV does have certain advantages over this tank. The camouflage, the DPM, the aiming time, but there's one thing that you don't do in a waffle, and that is play this aggressive. Yeah, I know there are a lot of people. In fact, I'll do it myself every now and then, play a waffle frontline and get away with it because of how stupid the tank's playstyle is. But you don't really play a waffle like this here. You don't actually drive a waffle into vehicles like an M103 purposefully and trade shots, because I can do that quite comfortably in the T30. I know that this guy actually has to expose his entire tank to shoot me, and as long as he keeps doing that, I'm going to get big ol' slaps into his vehicle. There you go, tracked him as well. Oh man, we're already at 2,150 damage in this battle so far. 8 more seconds left on our reload. Come on, 6, 5, 4, 3, and here we go. We're going to get a pretty nice slap right into the M103. Boom! There you go, he's taken out. So 2,500 damage dealt, but at the same time, the enemy team is a 4 versus 3. Now, we do have a full health K91, but he's not going to be full health for long. That guy, I don't even know what he's been doing. Me and this T32 single-handedly dealt with that M103 there. But I don't know what this K91's been doing at all the entire battle. So, oh well. There is just a sadness from the T30 there. The Waffle would have hit that. A lot of Tier 9 tank destroyers and Tier 10s would have hit that. But that's one of the downsides of the T30. Its dispersion isn't great. It's more comparable to an E100's dispersion than really, well, a tank destroyer. But when you hit your shells again, that shell just did 615. And even though this K91 is dog water, and all he really needs to do is penetrate a standard shell on that T54E1, instead he's going to die to the Emil. So it's a 3 versus 2. The T54E1, not really a big threat. I've noticed that he's not the best player, and it's a Super Pershing, which literally has no armor compared to a T30's penetration. So the only player you'll notice I was worried about right now is the enemy Emil 2. I knew that he had to be behind that building, and with my T32 helping me out there, this is perfect. I'm going to get a nice slap into that Emil 2. Beautiful. Now we're at 3,700 damage dealt this game, and I'm going to continue pushing on up. We got the T54E1 onto this guy, and unfortunately that T32 did end up bouncing the superstructure of that Super Pershing. But hey, I'm going to drive into a wall like a monkey and try and get it behind this Emil 2. So in this scenario right now, if I'm able to get an HE shell into the rear of this Emil, that's going to be about the end of his fun. Unfortunately, just as I fire, he pulls forward, so it hits the side of his tank, but I'll still take 522. That's not a bad HE. I purposefully gun block there, and with that, my T32 gets to live. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the T30. Sure, this battle didn't showcase everything that you can do in a T30, and it also didn't showcase the bad battles that you can have in a vehicle like this. Every battle you play in this tank can be great, or it can be absolutely horrific. This was a 4,769 damage game, but as you'll notice, I played a fair share of games in the tank today. I played about 4. Didn't do bad. It was 75% win rate. First battle was obviously that Rockfield one for 5,500. Played one on Fort Despair for 3,600. And then the only loss I had was a 3,899 damage one where my T22 medium was dog crap. I mean, this guy, 0 damage. Oh boy, he was one of the worst players I've ever seen. So, yeah, I even called him crap in the battle. He's literally 20% in his Tier 10 medium. A broken one at that. So, I love the T30. It's always a great vehicle. The gun is a blast. And I have to say that it probably in a lot of scenarios would do better than an E4 even against Tier 10 opponents. But let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. I'll be having my Tier 9 tier list up tomorrow, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. But other than that, I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.